By default in HTML, when you create a link and when the user clicks on a link, it should open new content within the same window where the previous content usually existed. Let me show you what I mean. If I press this link here that says local weather, it brings us to a page with the weather on AccuWeather. We just set this up during one of our previous exercises. You notice that the old content's all gone, but the new content's now here. This makes it easy for someone to navigate back to the original content just by using the back arrow in their browser. There will be times when you may want to create a link that does not replace the current content with new, but actually opens a new tab or window in your browser to display the content. We're going to demonstrate how to do that today. This is what's covered on page 110 and 111 of your textbook in the section Opening Links in New Tabs or Windows. I'm going to go ahead and open our code in Notepad, and in our book they talk about taking the weather link, that's this one right here, that right now just replaces the current page with the weather page, and we're going to add some additional information to this link. Within the opening A tag, just before the closing bracket, we're going to add the word target equals underscore blank. And this is simply telling the HTML that when a user clicks on this link, it should open the content not to replace the current content, but in addition to the current content in a new tab. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then go back to my window where I'm showing the actual page. I'll reload the page. When I do, you can't really see any difference in the way the page is displayed. The difference actually becomes apparent when you click on the link. Notice what happens up here. Watch my tabs when I click on the link local weather. A new tab is created. Now we have the local weather showing up on the screen, but here's the downside to using new tabs and new windows. Is all of a sudden people that are used to using the navigation buttons, if you look up in the upper left corner of your screen, you'll notice that my cursor, I'm trying to push these buttons, but they're both grayed out. So if someone goes to the weather and says, okay, I see what the weather is today, and now I want to go back to the bed and breakfast site, they can't simply click the back arrow and get there. They have to know enough to be able to look at the tabs at the top of their screen and then flip between the tabs. So while there may be some advantage of being able to go back and forth in this way, when you do use a new tab or new window with your links, you lose some of the navigation that people natively understand how to use in their browser. And you have to make a determination which advantages and disadvantages of using this are more important as you determine if you're going to open new tabs and windows within your links. I also wanted to talk about the paragraph at the bottom of page 110 where it talks about URL shorteners. URL shorteners are used quite a bit in text messaging and social media where it's helpful to have a much smaller URL than what you may have otherwise. And what I mean is if you look at this URL for the AccuWeather site, it's pretty long, and if you were ever in a presentation where you wanted to be able to give a URL and have someone actually take a note what that URL is all about, it would be pretty difficult for that person to be able to write it all out on the board and make sure everyone who's taking this information down gets it correctly. So that'd be another reason why you may want to use a URL shortener. There's a lot of them out there. Let me show you how they work. I'm going to copy this long URL. Then I'm going to look for a URL shortener, and I'm just going to go to google.com, and I'm actually going to search for the Google URL shortener. There's several of them out there. This is the one I use. And all you have to do when the screen comes up is paste your URL in here, and then it will provide you with a shortened URL. Everything that we just pasted in is shortened down to just these few digits here. And let me show you how this works. I'll copy this shortened URL into my web browser. See? Much, much smaller than the original. And I will push enter, and it automatically reroutes to the correct site. Another thing URL shorteners will do for you is it can allow you a pretty easy way to track how many times a URL is used. So for instance, if I look at my list of shortened URLs right here, you'll see this one that I just created for AccuWeather. It says has been clicked once, and that would be the case because I just used it. There's nothing you have to do with these shortened URLs at this point. I just wanted to further explain the information in that paragraph on page 110. Please let me know if you have any questions about this. And at this point, you're ready to move on to the next exercise.